The excitement of it all. All right, the time being 10:15 on Friday, October 13th, I'd like to call to order the Jobs Committee. Roll call, please.
Bates,
Bates here.
Doherty,
Already here.
Ford, Strathman,
Strathman here.
Young,
Young here.
Lewis,
Here.
Allen.
Present.
You have quorum.
And Mr. Doherty has requested remote attendance, if that's okay with everyone.
Yep. Perfect with everyone.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, Gary. Okay.
Thanks.
We need a motion to approve the minutes from September 15th.
Board moves.
That unanimous?
Oh, yeah, that was unanimous.
Did I say that? I'm sorry.
I heard it, but I didn't know if anybody else
had already
did.
said it.
Yeah, I heard it. All right. Any objections? Nope. Okay. It's a done deal. No public comments. Now we get on to the good stuff. Good morning, Mr. Berger.
Good morning, Madam Co-Chair. We have our typical battery of monthly financial reports in your packet for your review. My colleague Maria had planned to join us. I don't see her on the phone just yet. I will reach out to her and invite her to join the meeting via phone in the event you have any questions about the financial reports.
Okay.
Good
does
morning,
it-
everyone. I am online.
She's there, yes.
Hey, there she is.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. As
morning.
Scott mentioned, you have the slew of reports provided from our department. Starting on page 4, it's the usual WIOA 22 grant financial report. We are working through the remaining funds available for this grant. We have until June 30th to spend down the remaining funds, and we're getting there. We have fully spent down the youth funds. We're working through the remaining buckets per se. You will now see a report for the WIOA 23 grant. In our August reporting, we had already received the executed grant agreement, which then allowed us to report expenditures and then start requesting the funds for the expenditures. If you are aware, our grants run on a reimbursement basis. So I report the expenditures that have been incurred, then I in turn request the funds for that. What you will see on the WIOA 23 grant is that we are only reporting youth, as mentioned for the WIOA 22. Now that that's done, we start reporting that, and as each bucket finishes, then you'll see more activity for the WIOA 23 grant report. This is the first year cycle of the 2-year cycle, so now here with this grant, we are held accountable to the 80% expenditure and obligation benchmark. What you will see in the middle section of the WIOA 23 report is that we are already projecting with our youth that we will hit the 80% benchmark. We will exceed that. So what we do is, with the plan that we prepared last spring, we're looking at it, we're monitoring, we're projecting, and we see that we will hit the required benchmarks for June 30th of 2024. Our direct training benchmark continues to exceed the requirement, hitting 64% through the August reporting. You will also see in my memo, I detailed out the dollars that were spent on the job training programs, along with incumbent worker training programs. And then finally, on page 6 is the trade grant report. That grant concluded on September 30th. We are aware that we are not fully spending those dollars due to the decreased activity for that grant. The state has been aware of it, and we're just waiting for October 20th to roll around so that I can submit my final expenditure report. Any questions?
Ms. Bates?
Could I request that WIOA be spelled out in real words on this report? I'm getting it, but I still don't know what it stands for, and acronyms I don't think should be used in the title.
That stands for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, but we're happy to spell that out going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, and I have a question, Ms. Lewis. So the grant that we did not fully spend down, what was the reason for that? I know you said it was decrease in activity, but what was the cause of that?
Maria, I think that was in regard to the trade program. Am I correct?
Yes, it is. It's for the trade grant.
Okay, so let me just remind everybody that the trade program is a program targeted exclusively to individuals that have been laid off as a result of an offshoring or trade decision of jobs. So a company shuts down a plant, they send their jobs overseas, so they can spend less money on the cost of labor. And those individuals are what we call trade affected. They're affected by trade decisions. So we invite every single individual that is in that predicament to participate in this program, but we cannot compel them to do so. So if they choose not to avail themselves of these scholarship dollars to seek retraining for an attempt to reemploy in a new sector, then we simply don't spend those dollars because they've not asked for them. So we do invite every single eligible individual, and that that determination is not made by us. That determination is made by the state of Illinois. And so we're advised of every layoff event that is what is referred to as trade affected. We then recruit and invite those individuals to participate in that program, but we cannot compel them to participate in the program.
So
So
I'm
in the
hoping-
event they don't participate, participation leads to expenses. And if a lack of participation leads to a lack of expenses. So I like to say this, I've said this a number of times, these are like the by invitation only dollars that we have that we actually don't want because they reflect a negative economic indicator in your local market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought you were going to tell me that we are sending less of our jobs offshore, and so we're not using this account as much.
No,
Is it true?
the amount of funding that's awarded to us is driven by the expected demand for dollars.
Okay.
So we never really know how much trade money we're going to get. It's driven by the anticipated, the state's anticipated demand for that program, that amount of aid.
Okay. Miss Allen.
Alan, I was wondering if maybe there are certain areas of Chicagoland area or across the country where that program is just going to be more viable. Larger companies moving out of the United States or I don't know. Is it maybe
Well,
targeted?
I'm actually speculating, but I will tell you that I would not be surprised that the lack of expenditures is a reflection on the demand for new hires. So people that are affected by layoff events are either leaving the job market altogether, say they're retiring, or they're scarfed up by a new employer so quickly that they simply don't need public aid to gain reemployment. The job market right now is so out of balance in terms of supply and demand for workers that I wouldn't be surprised if these individuals are getting rehired so quickly that they simply are not interested in participating in a training program.
That makes sense. I do have one ask of either Scott or Maria. Is it possible that in next month's packet, could we have a comprehensive list of all of our grant partners and like what programs they do?
Yes, we're happy to provide that to you, and we can do
Okay.
that.
Okay, so I think the whole committee it'd be easier for us to get our hands or, to wrap our hands around this if we saw, oh, okay, it's these local partners and here's what they're actually doing. And it doesn't have to be any fancy thing with dollars or anything like that. Just kind of, here's who they are and here's what programs they do for us.
Well, I will tell you that included in your packet, directly behind Maria's reports, you'll find an AP report. And that is a record of the entities to which we sent money last
Right.
month.
Right.
So, you can already take a look at that if you like and get an idea of who we've been dispersing funds to and in what category. I think it's even broken out by county, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that might give you a little insight into
I
kind of,
think-
follow the money.
Yeah, I think that's good, but I think in that report is also like, if we pay out to like an individual and things too.
That's
So,
correct.
Yeah, so if you could
All-
just,
all of our-
yeah.
All of
if
our
you could-
expenditure, all of our expenses are in that report.
Right, right. So if you could just give us the list of just our WIOA partners, that would be awesome. And like I said, doesn't have to be anything fancy. All right,
I
any
assume
other
you mean-
questions?
I assume you mean subrecipients.
Yes,
Are you referring to the entities that we fund?
I'm talking about who gets the grants, like, like Quad County Urban League or,
Yeah.
Wabansie, those sorts of people.
So those are primarily what we call our youth providers.
Mhm.
And we can certainly provide you a comprehensive list of those entities that we contract with.
Yes, perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, heads up driving school. All right, that's good. Any other questions for either Scott or Maria? Okay, good job. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam
um,
Co-Chair,
yes.
I'm just gonna make a statement that remember that these funds are for 3 counties. So when we got to return funds, that means it's not just an issue that's happening in Kane County, but it's also DeKalb and Kendall County also.
Yeah. that's-
So it's kind of strange that we got the funds, but yet we're not able to use them. So it does bring a big curiosity of what's happening out in the marketplace.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking. I
That's a
wasn't,
lot of people out.
Yeah. yeah, I wasn't, saying, oh, we're not.
Oh, no,
doing
I know.
our job. I was just saying it's interesting.
And I was thinking, the reason why I bring that, because I was saying the same thing, what is happening out there, that these funds are not able to be used.
Right.
But I always say the state is about a year behind, by the time they do, I'm sorry, but by the time they do research and then get the information out, it's really pretty past tense.
Yes.
It's not nothing against them, it's just a process they have to go through.
Yeah.
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 If I could just add, I would actually say that the fact that we don't fully utilize our trade funds is probably a positive sign for your local economy.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I was
It's kind of like, ending your trip with fuel in the tank. You don't want to run out of gas as you drive into your driveway every night.
Or charge left in your battery because.
There
we
you
just
go.
came from
Correct.
E&E.
Correct.
As a precursor to next month, we are going to be using more of an economic outlook presentation. So maybe we'll get all the answers we need about everything next month. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll have more questions. But anyway, on to Jobs Committee.
Thank you. Chris Toth speaking. I'm just going to give a brief RISE grant update. Currently, we are still in our key stakeholder interview and data analysis phase for the Economic Development Strategic Plan. We've done our first round of stakeholder interviews with different elected officials, community colleges, trade organizations, and the next phase, we're moving on to some of our major employers in the county. So we're looking to contact them and continue those interviews. And that's it for right now. There's slides. Nope. Is that the?
Yeah.
Yep.
Super. Good morning, I'm Mark Van Kerkhoff. We also wanted to bring back a couple of slides we showed back in June, just to help remind where we're at with our RISE grant for developing a economic development strategic plan. This is a slide that was prepared by RW Ventures, who's our consultant working on it. They've been working on compiling all the economic data. They began conducting interviews with that. So they're doing the market analysis. They'll be looking at the strategy development and eventually coming up with that countywide strategic plan for us, which will be completed by the end of March. The other thing I wanted to just kind of update you on is it's been a very busy summer since we launched this in June. Because we had sort of three things going on in parallel. I'm going to start on the right-hand side. And the orange side, we just talked about a little bit, the economic development strategic plan with RW Ventures, what they're doing. And then I'm going to jump to the far left. We have the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership, which was launched back in December. And there's been a whole host of activities with that, which we'll give you a little bit of an update on and a more comprehensive report at the end of the year. But this is something the county board and other counties in the partnership invested on a pro rata basis. For Kane County, that's $54,000 a year. So between doing the strategic plan and the economic partnership, we were very grateful to be able to bring on John Grueling as our economic advisor, kind of the bridge between the two. So he's the green in the middle. So he's serving as an advisor for the Kane County Board and for us as a staff. He's been assisting with developing the economic development plan, working with us with the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership, particularly advising us on regional opportunities that we're now beginning to get funneled our way based on his vast experience working in Denver and then with Will County and other places around the country, just helping us sort through, is this something worth going after? How do we sort through working with our partners, working with the region? And then the end goal of all of these, which you see on the far right, is for launching an economic development organization for Kane County. So based on John's experience and RW Ventures work with standing up similar organizations, we're very excited towards working towards that goal in 2024. And then John's also assisting us in identifying and recruiting community and business leaders for the new economic development organization. John has been, he's toured the county with Chris. He has met with a lot of our municipal economic development partners along the way and has a good handle on it. Also attended World Business Chicago. One of their benefits of us being with the regional partnership is they've really opened up all of the events that they were already doing, one of which was Sherman Bates, you'll be interested to know. They held a venture summit on climate tech just this past week, and John attended on our behalf. So, John, I don't know if you want to comment on any of your activities or what you've been kind of learning about the county.
Been a, is this on? Can you hear me?
Yeah. You just have to get a little
Oh, there.
closer.
I'm electronics deficient, I guess.
If you wouldn't mind saying your name so everybody online.
I'm John Grueling. I'm the Economic Development Advisor for the Kane County Board and staff. I am the owner of a small economic development consulting firm. This has really been a pleasure these last few months working with both Chris and Mark, as well as your community leaders on identifying the tremendous opportunities that are out there relative to a countywide economic development effort. And, I get a lot of questions from businesses and some of the people in the municipalities and chambers of commerce is what's taking them so long? Why haven't we done this before? And not in a negative way, but more or less, okay, let's get it on. And I think that's a very positive response that we've heard from the field, so to speak. And there's a lot of pent up demand, I think, for collaboration among our community leaders. We saw it yesterday in the Hydrogen Roundtable. I've seen it time and again in a number of meetings that I've participated in. And I've had the pleasure of interviewing about 22 of the municipal leaders, non-elected officials, primarily staff people, village administrators, city managers, economic development directors, and some of the larger chambers of commerce. And so again, the message is coming loud and clear that they really look forward to having Kane County as a partner moving forward. So, and, you know, last week was a great example of something that maybe we wouldn't have been able to take advantage of before, which is this Clean Tech Summit, which brought together literally an international cadre of startup clean tech companies from not just around the Midwest, but around the world that have a direct interest in what's going on in the Chicago area. And by that, I mean the larger Chicago area. And the other neat thing about that, there was a lot of money in the room, a lot of venture capitalists looking to invest in these startups. And, you know, watching that happen it really should invigorate us to the opportunity for small business startups and looking at incubating some new technology companies here in Kane County. I think we're really well suited for that. So anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Ms. Bates?
Mavis Bates speaking. So I'm thinking a little bit about the climate action plan that we're working on. And the question keeps coming up. Kane County's jurisdiction is really in the unincorporated areas, not so much in the municipalities. And that's, you know, a little bit of a push-pull we're working on. What's happening with the Economic Development Organization? Are the municipalities all in, or is there a like a little bit of a line there?
Sure. So the feedback Madam Chairman got when she was running for office and since her tenure as chair has been municipalities that she's talked to, village presidents, mayors are in broad support of doing this. John's meeting and tour with some of our economic development parts and municipalities have been on a staff level. So like Chris and my counterparts on a staff level, and they're also, you know, very much in support. So there seems to be a staff level and a political, you know, support for.
How about Aurora, my hometown?
We're working with Aurora also.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks. All right, thank you.
So, and then one of the other benefits of the timing, you know, for now is because we're road testing this partnership, regional partnership, and you'll hear a little bit more from Chris in a minute in terms of some of the other benefits in terms of the World Business Chicago Research Center and the data that they're providing, like the data they provided for Madam Chairman to pitch to the governor's office on the Long Meadow Parkway Bridge funding that we got. A lot of that was from economic data that we couldn't have gotten on our own because it's up in the northeast corner of the county. They were able to draw data from Cook and McHenry to make a real broad case. And they did that within about 48 hours for us, for her to go down state. So those are the kind of things that when we do launch our own EDO with those regional tools in place, our local effort won't have to try to fund our own research department and those kind of things that most EDOs have to do independently. So there'll be an economy of scale of our investment in the regional partnership that will reap benefits for our local organization when it's launched.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
You can just go off back to the agenda, and Chris is going to talk a little bit about the World Business Chicago latest report that they came out with for the region.
Thank you, Mark. Christel speaking. Yeah, so for the first thing for the GSEP update, I attached to the agenda the asset report that we've been working on since basically the partnership started. I've been one of the advisory members on this, and the final report is out in the wild. And this is just a regional report talking about Chicago region's value proposition. It's a lot of data and a lot of things to look into, but this is information, again, that we didn't have prior to the partnership. The key takeaways that we're sharing with our partners from this report is that the Chicagoland is a diverse and resilient economy as a result of an incredible array of economic assets. So I can't go through the whole report today, but there's just 8 categories inside the report that really highlight what the Kane County or what the Chicagoland region has to offer businesses that are looking here. And those 8 categories are human capital, industry-based supply chain, innovation, knowledge, and research and development, our natural assets, our infrastructure, our global reach, our business environment, and our financial capital. Also, one of the things that we have to recognize as part of GSUP is that Chicagoland is a mega region. And that's how we use our size and our breadth as an invaluable asset to business. So as we continue to grow GSUP and our partnership with them, how do we leverage what is going on in the region for Kane County? And finally, the things I've been learning the most about is just how Chicagoland is a knowledge center and leader in manufacturing, making a top environment for technology commercialization and emerging industries. And again, it's just this more and more that we're finding out as we work with World Business Chicago about how we can attract the type of businesses that we want for potentially clean energy or other manufacturing that can come not just to the region, but to Kane County. And again, it's just so important that the World Business Chicago data team is working on a lot of projects that I'm involved in assisting with. And these are information, this is reports and stuff that we could not do without their partnership and access to their data. They've also been really great at working with me and our local partners and responding to their requests for data it really quickly so that they can turn things around and help attract businesses to their municipality. That's all I have for the asset report.
Yeah. Mr. Young.
Yeah, David Young. So I'm involved with a lot of automation. I was just at a company in Naperville, and they're building this whole entire assembly for I can't tell the name of the company they're working for, but they're building microwave ovens. Okay, so it's a big line, and they're working on it. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on around here, as well as food and beverage. Just in this area, Kane DuPage, you had mentioned that you're the whole entire Chicago area. You had have some knowledge as to what is going on throughout the whole entire Chicagoland area. I mean, Peoria too with Caterpillar has a lot to offer too, but are there any companies that are looking to move into this region, Peoria, from your research and what you've learned over the last couple of months, specifically for manufacturing, but even what Ms. Mavis Bates is talking about, even for climate and all this other projects she's working on, what kind of activity have you seen for manufacturing companies to invest into Illinois? Because quite honestly, over the past 10 years, they're moving out of Illinois to Indiana, Wisconsin. So I just want to know what you've seen just with your research so far.
Sure. Well, the thing that I'm learning through the research that we have, even with the availability of information from the different data resources that World Business Chicago has, is there's just a lag time between what we're learning from the data resources versus what's going on currently. So when I find out about things, it's usually something that's happened within the last 12 to 18 months. So, you know, I remembered that you had put in a request, and one of the things that I'm working currently with World Business Chicago is getting access to try and find who's come to King County specifically within the last 12 to 18 months, because that will give us a great indicator of who is looking to come here and who's looking to expand here. But off the top of my head, I don't have any names of specific companies who have looked here probably in the last 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, and the other, go ahead.
Let me take a shot at that too, Dave. You know, it's interesting. One of the things that we're uncovering in sort of the lack of a countywide initiative is that type of information at the county and even multiple county level. But our working with World Business Chicago has sort of opened up, you know, literally volumes of information, and specific to the number of new starts, the number of companies relocating into the metro area. And in the case, the report that Chris is referring to, which I believe you'll see next month, you'll see a very strong influx of new business activity into Kane County specifically. And it will profile the types of companies. And I think that'll give you a pretty good answer to the question that you've asked. Surprisingly enough, in spite of what we read about Illinois as being let's leave Illinois, There is a very strong presence of tech companies. Manufacturing still is a very important sector for the state, especially the metro area. And I think companies are adapting. But again, we can't let, certain public policies be a deterrent to keeping that channel alive to move new investment and new companies into the area.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. One of the new things with our partnership with GSEP is we are getting regionally based leads. So some of them are maybe more focused towards one county or the other. But we get those leads and can help participate in terms of getting those to our municipalities. And the other whole just brand new category, because World Business Chicago does so much work with startups and tracking where venture capital is going. They're able to tell suburban counties when one of our local startups in whatever town, Pingree Grove or in Elgin or Aurora, wherever they may be working out of their home or garage on a startup that they just, got, a significant investment from a venture capitalist. So that's a benefit. That's information we didn't have before. So we have a whole new opportunity to try to cultivate those startup relationships and then help them transition into, as they grow into facilities, hopefully, right here in their backyard where they're located.
See, Mr. Ford wants to say something.
Just a thought. Sometimes I wake up earlier than people think. It just sounds like there's a lot of things that are happening out there that we don't get to know about until it gets here, which is great still. But I'm just wondering, is there a thought for us board members to want to participate sometimes in some of these, whether they're summits or meetings or conferences, whether they are, to get hands-on information, meeting more people that are involved in the decision-making, and to give us a chance to have some input, whether it's during or after, whatever it is that's taking place. Just a thought.
I would love to have been at that Green Tech conference.
Who could have guessed that?
Really?
No, I agree. I agree to too. Yeah.
Mr. Van Kerkhoff, can you help us do that?
Yeah. Just real quick, energy efficiency is a thing that's been going on since the 90s. And I'm glad that this initiative has finally taken place. It's been, for me, frustrating over the years hearing about it, being involved in it, back then going to conferences and things like that, and then see nothing happening. We're just talking out in the hallway about some things that took place back in the 90s that never went anywhere. So it's going to be good to see that some things are starting to happen now, finally. It's only been 30 years, right? Is that about right? Yeah.
We're on the 30-year plan here.
No rush. All right. No more questions. Go ahead and let's move on.
Okay, we can move on to our ARPA projects update. So I have a presentation on this also. We're so excited, so grateful. We've been talking about these projects for several years now, and there's a lot happening all at once, thanks to our ARPA team and our planning team pulling a lot of these things together quickly. So I wanted to give you just a brief overview on the context because I almost need to keep it straight in my own head. So first of all, back a couple of years ago when we were invited to submit ideas how to use our ARPA funds, the Development Department put forth 5 projects: Fabulous Fox Water Trail, Countywide Economic Development, Agriculture, Manufacturing, and Tourism. Our goals were to have internal, external applications. In other words, our main goal was to push this funding out to the community and the businesses who could use it. We also looked at how do we turbocharge existing programs and activities that we were already doing. We heard from the board, they want us to keep applying for other grants, not just depend on ARPA only funds. And then we also wanted to address economic recovery areas that weren't being addressed by municipalities or other programs. So our process for working with these has been working with the ARPA team now, Suzanne Fonstock and the State's Attorney's Office and our consultant EY doing the risk assessments to make sure they're fundable, looking for other best practices around other counties and states, work with established credible partners. And then just wanted to note the ARPA team has been very flexible as we've had, as we apply for grants, there's deadlines and they'll, shift priorities to work with us on those. So I've got updates this morning on 4 of the 5. The 5th one will be given an update next week at Agriculture Committee. So the first one on our Fabulous Fox Water Trail, again, this is in the sweet spot of economic development potential for the National Water Trail for a whole variety of reasons. Last year, the county board authorized ARPA funds for this project in $1.24 million. That was allowed us to submit an application in September of last year to DCO for a tourism attractions grant. That was awarded. Which we're very grateful for. And then we applied to the National Park Service as designation as a water trail. That happened back in June. We submitted a second application for tourism and travel grant, and that was awarded. So the update on that is next week on Tuesday, we have resolutions going to Development Committee, Mr. Ford, for both the accepting the DCO grants and 2 consultant agreements for engineering consultant to work on the infrastructure project for the Fabulous Fox Water Trail, and our marketing consultant who's developed our marketing plan for using our travel and tourism grant for promoting the Fabulous Fox Water Trail. So that's upcoming next week. Our economic development strategy and organization for Kane County funding, you heard those updates already. We have retained our consultants and our advisor, and you heard the update on what we're doing. And again, that goal is to launch an economic development organization for Kane County. As we get closer to that launch, we'll be working closely with the ARPA team to see how we can utilize the $3.7 million that's been set aside to help that startup process for the launch and some initial programs that the EDO could maybe do.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Go back to that slide. So where is the $3.7 million right now?
It's in the reserved category. It was part of the overall department projects that back in 2022 were set aside.
Mhm.
And now we're going through the process of spending those.
Okay.
So the next 2 are 2 that were just approved at the county board last week, and these went directly to, we've been talking about them. The agreements went directly to the ARPA committee because these are subrecipiented out with 2 trusted partners. And I want to address some of the questions I heard come up at the development committee. First one, the Manufacturing Recovery and Sustainability Fund. We are working on with one partner, the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center, IMEC, which is a federally funded statewide manufacturing organization that already is a trusted advisor and provides a whole variety of services to manufacturers across the state. And we're working with them on launching an innovative program for Kane County based on their experiences with Cook and McHenry counties. And this was approved last week. There's 2 components to it. One is what we're calling the Kane County Lighthouse Manufacturers. Up to 20 manufacturers with less than 250 employees would be selected as part of this program. This would really allow them to access a whole bundle of services that a small manufacturer may need to remain competitive in the changing environment, from automation to workforce development to marketing, a variety of things. And what we learned and what IMEC learned working with Cook and McHenry counties on similar programs is that companies were allowed under those programs to do one thing. They could select marketing, they could select automation. And the feedback they got is that they didn't need one thing, they needed 5 things. So just like your insurance, we're bundling the programs with this, and but also with an idea of having the lighthouse manufacturers share their process, not only with each other, but then highlight those as an example for other small manufacturers. And that really is the where most of our manufacturing strength is in Kane County, is in the small manufacturers.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
David Young. So if you go back to those lighthouse manufacturers, I have this company in mind. Is IMEC reaching out to certain companies, or how do these companies, and this company I'm thinking about, say it's ABC company in Batavia, how do they know about this? How will they find out about something like this going on so that they could actually, are you going to get to that here?
Yes.
Okay.
That's specifically what I heard your question at the county board
Right.
meeting. And I didn't have an opportunity to answer it then, and I wanted to make sure I covered it today as well. So that second program is expanding the talent pipelines. And about a year ago, you heard two great presentations from Affinity or not Affinity, Ability Works and our Parent Alliance Employment Project for how they're working with persons on the spectrum or with disabilities get into the workforce pipeline. And so that's one of the things we brought to IMEC in terms of our brainstorming. And they believe they're the only statewide manufacturing excellence center in the country that has a full-time diversity staff person doing just that. In fact, she was in Elgin 2 days ago doing a training with a manufacturer. And we're seeing more and more interest in that on the the employee or the helping people get employed side. So the goal of this is to really have a resource working with our manufacturers to how to do an assessment, how to make them ready for diversifying employment, not just with persons with different disabilities, but also underrepresented employment pools. Like we have a large Hispanic population or African-American population, or just, people who are generally in the manufacturing workforce. So that's the second part of the innovation program, and that'd be open to all of our manufacturers, because some of our larger manufacturers may actually be better suited for some of these programs. Suncast is a great example. They were highlighted for their program with Ability Works. So outreach, this is the big one. So outreach will be through IMEC. In fact, if you go on IMEC's website, the first thing you'll see on their homepage are the McHenry County and Cook County programs. So, and that's where manufacturers are typically going. So once we're ready to launch this, that's what they're going to see. They're going to see Kane County programs right in their website. The Valley Industrial Association, which is just down the street from us, has been growing by leaps and bounds in the last number of years. They do a tremendous amount of outreach to their membership and to the manufacturing as well. A lot of their members are accounting firms, insurance firms, bankers who are doing businesses with manufacturing. So they will also get that information that they can relay on to their clients if they're not VA members. Our community colleges will be pushing this out through all of our economic development partners. And then finally, use county board members. You mentioned, a company, all know companies in your districts. It's a great thing or even a reason to give them a call to let them know that this is available. We'll be putting it on Kane County Connects. So our next step is to actually build the program IMEX portal so that there's a there for them to go to, but that's our public outreach
So we'll be on
effort.
IMEX. I'm looking at Cook County and Advanced McHenry County. So
Mhm.
there'll be Yay Kane County on there pretty soon.
We can call it Yay Kane County if you want. Yeah, but yeah, that's exactly it. What they'll see.
All right.
So we're very excited about that. We were able to, John and I and Chairman Co-Chair Lewis joined the manufacturing Makers on the Move bus tour on Wednesday down in Aurora. And they were very, very excited to get this going. And they also do a lot of marketing and campaigning. So any other questions on that one?
I do.
Sure.
So the Lighthouse,
Microphone, please.
so the Lighthouse manufacturers, that's going to be like about best business practices, or how are you going to be helping the Lighthouse
Sure, it's,
Bad
it's a suite of things. They would do an assessment to find out what it is that they need the most. And maybe maybe they have all manual lines for whatever they're assembling or doing. And they need to, want to work towards automation. How do they do that transition? Maybe they need help with exporting or marketing or, whatever that might be workforce training. So
And
that's why we're going to offer them a suite because every small manufacturer is different.
And IMEC has the experts?
Yes, that's what they already do. This just allows them to do more of it for our manufacturers based using our specific funding.
Okay, thank you.
And the other beauty, but because they're such a large statewide organization, they're not going to charge any program administrative costs. So every dollar is going to go towards a program assistance for businesses in Kane County manufacturers. And the other one I just wanted to touch on that was passed was our Kane County Tourism Recovery Promotion Sustainability Fund. $1.588 million. This is being pretty much split evenly between the two visitors and convention and visitors bureaus, Elgin and Aurora, but together they cover most of Kane County. And they are going to be using that money to place print and digital ads and different publications that they already do. But their ads will focus on niches relevant to the Kane County, Elgin, Aurora areas, the Fabulous Fox Water Trail, then generally outdoor recreation. Sports tournaments has been really a growing sector for Kane County of all types, from bags or cornhole, whatever you want to call it, to your traditional athletic tournaments that bring in a lot of families. Agritourism, weekend getaways, family food trails to promote small businesses. They'll be using both. We'll be now able to use Datify, which is a very detailed analytics program to show where people are coming from, how long they're staying, how they're responding to the ads that are being placed. So that'll be a very good for both. The other nice thing about what we're able to do with this funding, or they're supposed to do on behalf, one, they're going to be incorporating Kane County as a brand within that, which there currently is not a Kane County Tourism Bureau. So there's not really a brand out there in the tourism world for Kane County. So that'll be added to it. And then also a lot of their funds that they get currently are from the hotel motel sales tax, which is distributed through the state to the different bureaus. But because it's based on hotel tax, most of their marketing needs to be outside of a 50-mile radius because of that. So with our funding, they're going to be able to really focus on ads that are hitting the millions of people in Chicago. They're within 50 miles, that they may not stay overnight, which would be nice if they did, but we're going to really encourage them to come out by train, by car, whatever, to come out for the day and capture more visitors that way. So any questions on that?
Nope.
Hi,
Mr.
Dave Young. I've got two things. I was in Peoria last Friday and just meeting a friend down there, and he had family that was actually coming up to St. Charles to go to the Scarecrow Festival. So that was pretty cool. So
Cool.
that was, yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. So I think, if with the right promotion, you're going to get people to come up and spend the weekend here, and that's going to be a source of revenue. So I just thought I'd bring that to everyone's attention. That was cool. The other thing I've been thinking about the Fabulous Fox River. I know we've been talking about that all year. How is that going to make money? I mean, is there a plan on how that's going to, is that the same thing? Is that more going to be a tourist thing where we're going to drive people outside of Mavis Bates and her kayak, drive?
Thank you.
Sure. No, that's a great question. It's probably a multifaceted answer. I mean, the reason led by Karen Miller, all the partners up and down the Fabulous Fox were successful in the national designation is not based on tourism economic development. And that's a component, but it's based on the education of the environment and the water trail and the use for and accessibility for outdoor recreation. We just happen to be in what we call the sweet spot of potential for attracting visitors to come to enjoy the river as a national water trail, because we already have a lot of restaurants, shops, other things to do. And the improvements that we're going to make on it to make it more accessible to particularly our urban residents and persons with disabilities who may not be able to access the water trail now, but to promote it for people to come out and kayak and but they may come here for a sports tournament and they have a day off or an afternoon off, and now they know that where they can go to rent kayaks for the afternoon and do something that maybe their family's never done before. But in doing that, they're going to eat at a restaurant and do other things. So it's kind of multifaceted in terms of the National Water Trail aspect. But some of these specific projects with the ARPA funds and the 2 state grants from DCO are specifically focused on the supporting the tourism industry, helping them rebound, and then putting that additional infrastructure in place that just makes it a better place for people, a better experience when they do come.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Madam Co-Chair, can I add to that?
Yes.
Along with that, one thing that we're hoping, some of us even in here have talked about it, that when we can bring some attention to the one thing we have that a lot of other places don't have is the Fox. And that that's one thing that's not really happening is people living along the Fox, and also restaurants that's right at the Fox River. I think from one end of the county to the other, I think you can almost count them on one hand of the restaurants that sit right along the Fox. I can't remember the number now, but it's a very small number. I know in Aurora, I'm gonna say there's only, help me out, one that really is right.
Or
And I'm thinking about La Quinta. It's the only one I could think of that's
I
right
can
at,
think of a few more.
okay,
But,
but that's right at the river that you have access.
well, Gray's Mill is Montgomery.
Oh, that's the
Plaza.
new one. Okay. No,
Um,
I'm talking about just right in Aurora. Yeah, but there's only a handful, and that's, you think about the distances, it's from one end of the county to all the way down to Montgomery. That's a long ways just to be able to count them. So that's another thing we hope that happens, which is economic development improvements.
Madam Chair. We all want more restaurants. We all love to eat. And, but I think one of the philosophies of the Fabulous Fox, although we have our expert here, or my philosophy would be to preserve the natural beauty of the Fox River and have that restaurant up on the hill. Have that restaurant half a block or a block away. When I see these homes that are being put like right in, they're almost in the middle of the river. They're so close to the edge. I don't think that's good conservation of the natural beauty and value of asset of the river.
But good activity bring good awareness of the Fox is what you're talking about. That's the thing about it. In order to have awareness, you got to have people right there who's paying attention to it day in and day out. And awareness grows for a great
Mhm.
amount.
Biking too, right? The bike trails are beautiful.
And that's why I was thinking, part of this, with the Fabulous Fox is signage. And I'm envisioning signs that say, here's Geneva, by the way, get out of your kayak or whatever, and here's the restaurants, here's where the Geneva,
Mhm.
get out, go over
Sure.
there, here's where all these
Sure.
cool things are going on. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be a restaurant right there on the river, but one that's, a quarter of a mile off, and they're gonna go and stop and have drinks and do this and do that. So, yeah. Oh, all right. All right, Ms. Gomes, you have a comment?
I do, if it's okay with the committee. I just wanted to comment on something Mr. Ford said. Gums here. And Ms. Bates also addressed it. The Grace Mills down in the southern part of King County, it's right on the river. It has that outdoor space, and I'm just throwing out that it's extremely peaceful and people come from all over the place to sit in a space like that because we don't, like Mr. Ford said, we don't have a lot of it. So I I understand Ms. Bates, but I also think that people can appreciate that at a different level as well. I know I personally appreciated the last time I was there. It was, the wind was blowing and it was peaceful. It was right on the river. And then you're looking around at everything surrounding you. So I think there has to be a good balance there. Thanks for letting me pipe in on my non-committee.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no other comments, we can move along. Good discussion, though. On to-
Yes,
Oh,
good discussion.
I guess we're going to talk about the fabulous Fox Trail in a minute. Wait, are you done, Mr. Van Kerkhoff? Okay. Now that we've already, taken all your thunder away, go ahead.
No, you haven't. I would like to add to the discussion with a couple of examples. I have been asked to participate in 3 or 4 different paddles this summer after the designation by different organizations on the river. One in particular was in August, and it was by the Environmental Defenders of McHenry County. We had an all-day paddle from Algonquin down to Elgin. The reason we were paddling in Kane County is because when you go north or upstream from Algonquin, the river is not as calm because of the power boaters, et cetera. And so the Environmental Defenders of McHenry County planned their trip, as they do every year, in Kane County. It was an all-day trip, and we stopped at Rosie O'Hare's in East Dundee for lunch. And I'm going to guess that our group probably spent between $800 and $1,000 on lunch that day. And most of the people that were on the trip were not residents of Kane County. So this was money that came in from Cook County, McHenry County, DeKalb County, et cetera. The other example I'd like to give is that I've been partnering recently with the Friends of the Fox River. Any of you who know the president know that Gary Swick is a real go-getter. And he is always out trying to educate folks about the value of the Fox River and conservation, et cetera, as Mavis was talking about. So in the spring, he reached out to 22 microbreweries that are in the Tri-Cities area to see if they would be interested in having him come to talk about the Fox River. 17 of them responded positively to him. And so he's been inviting me to join him at these microbreweries to talk about not only Friends of the Fox River and the conservation issues, but also about the fabulous Fox Water Trail. And the last time we were at Sturdy Shelter in Batavia about 3 weeks ago, and he literally goes out to the patrons of the bar and he brings them back to the little room that they've reserved for us and got about 20 to 25 people to come and listen to us talk about the river. And several people were very interested. Also, the owner of Sturdy Shelter is extremely interested in partnering with us on spreading the word about the river. There was an employee who attended that particular talk who works for one of the microbreweries in Geneva and came up to us afterwards and said, "You need to contact the owner of my bar so you can go and speak at that bar." So we've gotten a lot of support. At least a couple of the microbreweries have come out with new beers in the fall, probably because of Oktoberfest, and they have agreed that for the month of September, each of those beers that's sold, $1 goes to Friends of the Fox River to help work on conservation issues. So I see this as a great potential, and I just find it extremely interesting that the microbrewery community seems to be so interested in preserving the Fox River. Of course, Gary has this slogan, "No clean water, no good beer," which he promotes. So I think that sends the message that you need to have clean water in order to make your beer. So we're just kind of getting going on this kind of thing and coming up with ideas on how to partner with our other major partners along the river in Kane County. And I think there's a lot of potential out there.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's so many things. Make sure Kane County Connect gets that list of the microbreweries that are donating.
Okay.
And if you want this group to go on one of those tours with you. Yes, I think as Mr. Ford was saying, we'd like to get more involved in things. And the Jobs Committee is
Sure.
always available for microbrewery
Right.
tours.
Beer tasting is a good activity.
And chocolate tasting, yeah.
And
There's a
chocolate taking,
fair
that's,
on the
that's
road.
another one.
All right. Anything else?
That's it for today. Thanks.
Okay. Any questions?
We had a couple things under new business. Two are repeats that were announced at the previous committee. One is that yesterday we did have hosted a hydrogen energy roundtable at Elgin Community College and some of the city of Elgin, and some of the communities along the I-90 corridor. And learned from our special speakers that they were waiting for an announcement on the Mach H2 hub announcement by the Biden administration, which happened at like 5:10 this morning. So Jody Walnut covered that.
It's on CNN. If you go on the internet on CNN's website, it's there. They talk
Hit
about
it,
it.
hit it early in the news cycle, rather than the late in the day Friday news when it's bad news. When it's good news, it's early in the news cycle. So that's really exciting news. And so there'd be more to come on that, but we definitely signaled to that partnership that Kane County is ready and eager to work with them on their facility planning. And then Board Member Bates, you mentioned the award to City of Aurora yesterday for the CEJA jobs funding. That's really good news, and we'll look forward to working with them on that as well. And that was covered at the last meeting also. And then finally, we have a video that Chairman Lewis would like us to show from U46 from their precision manufacturing promo. And this is just, to me, it was a huge example of the huge steps in the last 5 years, really, that our school districts and other partners have really elevated what they're doing, high quality work to engage the next generation of our manufacturing workers. So go ahead, Blair.
Manufacturing is the industry that takes raw materials and processes them into usable goods. This could include anything from making smartphones to bulldozers. This industry is a major driver of both the state and national economy. The demand for skilled employees is strong and is predicted to continue to increase over the next decade. Students who learn the necessary skills to enter the manufacturing field will see high wages and often opportunities to continue to progress in their career. School District U46 operates a state-of-the-art precision manufacturing program to prepare students for these lucrative careers. The labs and classrooms at South Elgin High School are appointed with industry-grade equipment and technology for students to utilize in their learning. Students from any U46 high school can take these courses and are bused to South Elgin High School for their class. The students can begin the 3-course sequence as early as their freshman year. The course sequence will allow students to earn 6 college credits and multiple industry certifications from the National Institute of Metalworking Skills. Students in these courses also have the opportunity to participate in competitions to showcase their skills. Precision manufacturing is often an excellent choice for students who enjoyed courses like design and modeling, automation and robotics, and essential technology in middle school. The curriculum focuses on hands-on projects, and a great deal of time is spent working with machines and computers. By enrolling in this program, students begin to learn which careers in manufacturing they find the most interesting. This pathway could lead to a career in machining, which centers around programming computer-operated machines to make parts exactly to a blueprint. This pathway could also lead to careers in robotics, mechatronics, tool and die making, and even engineering. Currently, 80% of engineers work in the manufacturing industry, and the practical experience gained in this program is highly valuable. Over the next decade, it is estimated that there will be 4 million available jobs in manufacturing. By participating in the Precision Manufacturing Program at U46, you will learn early if one of these careers might be a great fit for you and exactly how to accelerate your path to these lucrative opportunities.
Thank you.
So what's U46? Elgin? That's all of Elgin?
Yeah, U46 is the second largest school district in the state. They include Elgin, Streamwood, Bartlett, South Elgin, Larkin, I believe.
Yeah.
They go into Cook County.
It's a huge district.
Nice video.
Like you said.
And
it's second
their
largest.
center is located at the South Elgin High School, and we have other school districts that have similar models. Hampshire High School hosts some of the programs for that district. Then, of course, you have the Wisner Center in West Aurora by West Aurora High
East is
School.
building theirs next year.
Hmm?
I said East Aurora's building theirs next year.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so there's a lot of great things happening for our pipeline.
Yeah, Central has theirs.
Oh, really?
But I just wanted, Mark showed me that and I was like, yes, we definitely need to see this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's amazing that these schools really, really understand how important these careers and, it used to be college for everybody. Well, we have priced ourselves out of everybody going to college. And so the more that these high schools can get these programs and like this one, you get 6 college credits by the time you graduate high school.
They said middle school. What was that about? Middle school? They're
Oh, that's
teaching
where they're
this stuff
starting
too?
now to
Yeah.
start getting the kids focused on what they want to do.
Uh-huh.
And it used to be, they would say, oh, my mom works in a factory. And it was almost like, looking down, but now we're starting to really showcase that these manufacturing jobs are really the good jobs to get.
Mhm.
They pay well, they're cool. I mean, I want to go back to high school and do this stuff.
And
and a
and
lot-
they look very clean too.
These factories are extremely clean. There's
Uh-huh.
no more of that grease all over on the floor kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And that's why I think,
No.
like this lighthouse
Mhm.
grant and some of these
Mhm.
things that we're doing are so important. So if there's these smaller factories that wanna, step up, I'm
Mhm.
gonna say step up their game, but don't have, the resources or, the bandwidth to do it, we can help them get there. So, so we stay competitive in Illinois
Mhm.
and keep this stuff going
Madam
forward.
Chair. And they also talk.
One thing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then go ahead.
one
I
more.
just wanted to, while I was on the subject, we did this, we got to write our name on the bus the other day when this IMAC tour came through. And it was really exciting to me because I am a manufacturing person to see how manufacturing really has come back here in Illinois and how we're really, really embracing it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the future looks really good for manufacturing.
Yeah, and if we could just comment on the stop that we had in Aurora at Frinberg Products. They make the O-Cedar brooms and mop buckets. You can see their sign from the tollway on 88. And a couple of things we learned from the tour that I wasn't aware of. One, the city of Aurora was instrumental in bringing them back to Aurora, and all those jobs were reshored projects. They were relocating these operations from China back to the United States in Aurora. Aurora got the state involved in making the deal happen. We were able to have a tour of their facility, and they had side by side 2 lines, one that was partially automated in terms of assembling the mop buckets, and one that was really, not automated at all. And to see the 2 lines working side by side was really fascinating to see. But also just to hear their investment, their recent expansion, their investment in injection molding machines and everything was really, really eye-opening to see. But one of the representatives from the Illinois Manufacturing Association who helped sponsor the bus tour said, if you had told me 10 years ago that we'd be making brooms again in Illinois instead of China, I would have told you you're crazy. And here we are watching it happen.
Sounds like they really cleaned up there.
Oh.
Oh. Ms. Bates, I hope you have a more intelligent comment.
I have two, now I have two intelligent comments. And another thing I really liked about the video was that it did talk about preparing, that there's also a pathway to becoming an engineer. Because even though these factory jobs are really great right now, going for the college degree, going for that engineering degree is the bigger opportunity. You know, they still make more money. They still have bigger opportunities. So it should be up, 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 up. So, but another thing, so why did they have an automated and a non-automated? Is this a study they're doing? Like, what's going on? That's funny and interesting.
I understood that they were just working towards that.
Towards
with
automation.
bringing on, new types of automation,
Okay.
generally to try to eliminate repetitive movements where somebody would have to bend. Like they had one fully automated area where it was taking buckets right out of the injection molder and stacking them into piles, where instead of having somebody do that manually,
Mhm.
to automate that. And then there's some things that just can't be completely automated, but parts of the line were automated on one track, and
Mhm.
one track was almost entirely person labor.
Okay, so they're just trying different ways or moving towards more, it's just.
Yeah, and then
It sounds like the perfect place to do a study on.
yeah, well, I mean, I learned a lot just on the tour, and they had one whole section that was fully, still people labor, because it was not a fully 24/7 whatever operating line, and there's
Uh-huh.
not enough demand for a special order or something, so it doesn't warrant the investment of automated equipment that could run 24/7 with some human help, as opposed to, you need an order that's going to take, a couple days to do out of
Okay.
the week or something. So a wide variety of things just within one manufacturing center.
Thank you. Got it.
You have two questions?
That was it.
That's it.
That was two.
Mr. Young?
Hi, David Young. When you look at that video, it shows Haas CNC machining centers. That's the #1 machining center in the world. I mean, those guys, they're based out of California. So it's great that those individuals are learning on a Haas
Yes.
machining center, because they can go anywhere and use it. It's like learning the big control they call PLC in the world. If you guys don't know what that means, it's basically when you look at an automated line, Rockwell, Siemens are the big names for those. So if you learn how to use Rockwell PLCs, that's the major PLC control that's used in the United States. So if that is expanded at U46 to include Rockwell PLCs and operator interfaces and programming, I can promise you Rockwell would donate all of that to the U46. So you could even expand that, and because Rockwell wants everyone to learn how to use their stuff, right?
They
So that
do.
when you
So you go and buy one when you work. it.
exactly, because in all the universities, Rockwell donates all of the PLCs, operator interfaces, servo drives, servo motors, all that stuff is donated to all of the universities. And so when these kids come out of these universities, that's all they know.
Buy one.
Well, no, the thing is that it's all they know. And so the managers at ABC companies say, okay, what should we use? Oh, we'll use Rockwell, because this is what these guys know. Programming logic controller, that's what it means. It's basically, it's a,
I saw programming the.
yeah, that's think of it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's exciting to see that. And then it goes to my point that I'm making at every meeting, which is that our task at the jobs committee is to maintain and create high-paying jobs in the private sector. And so we need to maintain and keep on this path that you just showed, because having this kind of training will create the high-paying jobs in Kane County. So that's great. Thank you.
There's also, just a little side note, Quad County Urban League, which is one of our WIOA partners, they have a program that I believe is new, it might be, not be new, but it was called a manufacturing technician. And what they're doing is they're training people to go in, and it used to be like when I was growing up in manufacturing, everybody who ran their own machine also kind of did their own maintenance and their own tweaking and, their own this and that and that. And then we got programmers to come in to do that kind of stuff, but they're training these people to work on the machines and do the not full maintenance stuff, but the stuff that the operator probably shouldn't be doing, but yet we don't need the full maintenance mechanic for. And it seemed like it was a really cool thing, for people that, maybe didn't want to go for a college degree, didn't want to be a programmer, but yet didn't want to stand and operate a machine all day long.
Mhm,
So, and I thought that's probably a job that didn't exist 10 years ago.
mhm.
So I always find that exciting when there's, new things that we always say, well, these kids are going to go into jobs that don't even exist, and it's true. So,
Yeah, one of the interesting things, yesterday, we had a good contingent from Elgin Community College at this hydrogen meeting. And they haven't broken ground yet on their new manufacturing center. And the director of their programs made a point. She said that if we fill this building with what's needed today, we're already, 5 years behind. In other words, we need to be anticipating, what's needed, what kind of equipment for students to be trained on and everything, for, ahead. Not just what's, happening right now. So
Yeah.
that's very exciting to hear, because that's what's going to help keep our manufacturers and our workforce on the cutting edge. And so.
when we talk about, we all have, even like when I was a kid, they had the auto mechanics department in the high school.
Yeah.
It was one of the few things you got to do was go to auto mechanics. Well, now we're going EV on so many things. So, we better start looking that way too with our high school kids. So,
Mhm.
all right. Let's see. I think that's it for new business. Comments by my co-chair, who's been quiet today. You're happy? Good Friday? All right. Any other comments by anybody else? Nope. Okay, then I need a motion to place the reports on file.
Bates moves.
Unanimous consent?
Yep.
Need a second? Oh, that's right, that's right. Any objections? Obviously not.
I have one comment.
Okay,
Bill Foster's town hall has been canceled for tonight.
okay, all right, it rescheduled, or it will be. Okay,
Bill Foster's town hall.
I checked at the library, it's not showing you.
Oh, okay.
all right.
That's the other way to do it.
If there's nothing else, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for the good discussion today. Actually, I learned so much more in both meetings today. It's been a really good Friday for me. So, I need a motion to adjourn. All righty.
All in
No
favor?
objections,
Aye.
all in favor, aye. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Okay, thank you, you too.
Mr.